Okay, so I want to talk to you about Miracle in East Texas because I watched it and uh, I really enjoyed it. And one of my, and then you're going to think I'm crazy for saying this, but one of my favorite moments was when you, Kevin, were running from the men who were shooting at you. I really enjoyed it though. I wanted to know because this is based on a true story, right?
Yes. Yep.
I wanted to know what it was about that story that made you want to do this film.
Well, I think a couple of things. Number one, it's a Dan Gordon script, and he's an Oscar-nominated writer. He wrote Hurricane for Denzel Washington, White Up Kevin Costner, and he's just a great guy. We've worked with him before. He brought the script to me, and I loved it. I was laughing at the characters. And the true story about behind it all was amazing to me. I actually went and looked at some of the history behind these guys. And it's funny, when we booked John Ratzenberger, he actually looks like the guy.
Oh,
He looked like the guy back
yeah.
at that time period. Oh yeah.
good.
Same size, same look, gray hair.
Dad Joyner.
Yeah, it was
And
just,
Dad
it was just
Joyner,
interesting.
so they named Joynerville after Dad Joyner, who was the geologist guy. No, the driller
It
guy.
was Dad Everett, we call him in the movie.
We called him Dad Everett, and then you played the scientist, the geologist person. And I think that ultimately it was the redemption of the two gentlemen. That is part of the true story. And the way that Dan wrote it was basically, there must be a higher power that has made all of my lies truth. Right? That was his coming to Jesus moment, was he couldn't believe that despite knowing that he himself was a bad guy, that God redeemed it all.
Wow.
Well, him becoming a pastor is a true story. He actually became a pastor. And I think each time he kept scamming his widows, it bugged him more and more and more. And when the second oil strike happened, which by the way was true, they drilled right in the middle of that Black Baptist church. Wow. They were just looking for yet another way to scam people of money so they could get the heck out of Dodge and run to California. And that was the nail in the coffin for his character. And he said, okay, how many times
Jesus.
How many times you got to keep talking to me, Jesus? It's about time I listened to you. So it was just wonderful to be part of such a true story like that. And I was blessed to be able to direct it as well. And we're hoping that people run and fill up those 2 days of theaters, because that's the only way we'll get more screens. And so we're hoping you can help us get people to get those butts in those seats.
Absolutely. Yes. What should people expect to experience when they're in their seats watching that show?
Well, I hope they laugh.
Yeah.
I hope that they enjoy the fact. I think people are looking for more true stories like this too. I mean, you look at all the stuff coming to Hollywood. I think people are getting tired of all these visual effects movies that they're just always just special effects over and over again. And the action is fine, but I think they're gonna, this thing won 10 film festivals.
Yeah.
Everything from best family movie to best faith-based movie to best romantic comedy. They couldn't really label it as one thing, which I love.
What we really want people to take away is hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the message that we're trying to spread. So a little bit of joy, a little bit of fun, a little bit of hope,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was going to just ask you what the takeaway was, and you answered that so well. So how can people watch the film?
Go ahead.
Oh gosh, just go to sorbostudios.com and
fathomevents.com.
And Fathom event, but it's a little tough to find on Fathom. So if you go to sorbostudios.com, the link is right there. It'll take you right to the Fathom link to buy tickets. And
it shows you where to put in your zip code, shows you what theaters are in your neighborhood. And
what's great about the Fathom events is you buy your tickets, you do a screen capture, or just grab the screen and share it with all your friends. And then your friends can join you at the movies without the hassle of like trying to coordinate everything. You just say, I'm going to this screening, join me there. When Left Behind came out, I sold out 2 theaters that way. Wow. And because I was in 2 different cities during the run. Right. So all my friends from the one city joined me at the one theater, and all the friends from the other city joined me at the other theater. It was a lot of fun. And so this is it's a kind of a new way to really enjoy the theater. We're really hoping to get families back to the theater to laugh. This is a family-friendly comedy. It's just a lot of fun to take your kids to. And we've also made resources for homeschool families. Yep. So we have a homeschool packet to sort of come alongside the family and give them a glimpse of what educating your children at home might look like, that you can go see a movie that it has historical significance. It's a historic story,
Right.
and then expand upon that and have that conversation with your kids. And that's how they learn. This is a great way to learn. So we developed that. We also developed a pastor packet and also a group discussion guide for book clubs and people who want to go see the movie together like that.
And what's interesting, when this happened right in the heart of the Depression,
Yeah.
it made a lot of people jobs, made a lot of people wealthy. It was that oil that Winston Churchill said won World War II. That oil was sent over to help not only fund, keep America's tanks running, but our allies as well. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So that was 10 years after this. So the idea is, you take one moment in history, but you put it into context and it becomes so much bigger than that.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so who is your audience? Who did you want to come see this film?
I think everybody.
People.
I think as a PG rated
It's more
film,
for people than for dogs,
Yeah.
although our dogs really enjoyed it.
I think 7, 8-year-old on up. I mean, it's know, Ted Barrett, movie guide, gave it a huge 9.5 stars or whatever, 10 and stuff, and he said this is one of those great movies you can take your family to. As
Grandparents.
Yeah, I just think it's all ages.
The whole gamut. It's just fun. It's just
I think
solid movie.
People of faith, people of non-faith. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what side of the political fence you're on, or it's just, to me, it's just one of those movies that you go, wow, that was just a fun movie.
Right. So did you select the actors? How did that process work?
We did select the actors, and it's pretty interesting how it all came about, because it really was, we shot up in Canada, but we were so busy back in the States with other things. So I was doing all of our auditions via tape, and everybody we cast
video online.
Video online was so good. We had a couple other choices too, but for some reason we said, no, I think this person or that person, and they came on the set and they were so spot on, and so good.
Yeah.
And what was your take? I mean,
well, the guy that we cast to play now I'm gonna get
LD Hines.
Yeah, LD Hines, right? Because I've been talking about the real characters. And the movie character names.
That real character was the Hunt family. That's how they became wealthy.
Yes. Yes.
So we changed one ketchup to another.
Hunt to LD Hines. And so the guy who played Hines, his audition was just everybody. I mean,
he comes in the very end of the movie, and he was a stunt man taking acting classes, and a dancer. And he came in and was like, he was so confident, so good. It was great.
Ratzenberger showed up and just blew us away.
Tyler Main.
Ratzenberger is just solidly hilarious all by himself. And so then you give him a script that's so well written.
Well, if you saw the outtakes at the end, he's just very funny.
He's very funny.
He is.
And then Tyler Main, we were so lucky to get him because his schedule and stuff.
I met Tyler Main at an autograph show. He was a wrestler, a WWF guy, but he was in the Jason movies, the guy with the mask. It was horror movies.
Right.
And he was also in the very first Mutant X.
Mm-hmm.
He was Sabretooth in the first, with all his makeup on him, but he's this big 6'9" guy, and he was great. He was just Cornville, he was just so good. Yeah.
Well, that is great. Now, I grew up in East Texas, and as an East Texan, I'm wondering, how did you make the decision not to shoot it in East Texas?
It was easy. It's called show business, not show. You go to Canada, you get 35% tax credit, you get 25% in the dollar. The location was amazing. It was this 3,000-acre ranch that Kevin Costner used in Open Range, that they used for Revenant, that they used for Unforgiven. And if it was good enough for Clint Eastwood, I figure it's good enough for Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah. There's also, it's about relationship.
Yeah.
And we just happen to have relationship up in Calgary. We mounted this film in less than 3 weeks. That's unheard of.
Wow.
And that's because of the relationships that we had. People could really just, they pulled it out of a hat.
It's incredible how quickly you put this together.
Yeah. So that was why we just had no relationships with East Texas to rely on, and Calgary did. So there you go.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense. So talk a little bit, can you tell me a little bit more about the Sorbo Studios? Because I hadn't heard of it until I started looking at this movie, and can you give me a little idea of what that's all about?
Go ahead.
Well, well, we decided several years ago that Hollywood was not as interested in producing the kind of content that we are interested in, and so we decided
Or the kind of content they used to do.
Yeah,
they just don't do anymore.
That they veered by and large they veered into a different direction, and we decided that we had the capacity to start producing our own content. Yeah. And it started way back when we did Let There Be Light. Have you seen Let There Be Light?
Oh, I think I have, but give me one detail.
I play the world's greatest atheist, and my son had died when he was 10 years old, and it's 10 years later now. And we've divorced because of that whole thing. And I have a near-death experience. And during that middle time that I was clinically dead for 4 minutes, I saw my son, and he said, "It's not your time, Dad. Let there be light." And it changed his life. It changed his life.
You're getting emotional.
Oh, no, I always get emotional. It was a wonderful.
Right.
Sam wrote the original script, and Dan Gordon did a rewrite on it. And then after that, our most recent movie is out. Let's past January was Left Behind: Rise of the Antichrist, based on the Left Behind books. That was also through Sorbo Studios. So we got a number of scripts. The hardest thing is finding funding. We don't do big budget movies. We do like $3-4 million. And as I always tell people, that's the catering budget in Pirates of the Caribbean, guys. So we have to compete against $300 million mega movies that Hollywood does with our budget. And word of mouth is the only way we can compete.
Walt Disney said years ago that movies could change culture.
Movies and television will influence our youth.
Yeah, and therefore change culture. And we see the culture moving in a direction that we think is unfortunate. And so what we try to do with the films that we participate in is influence the culture in a positive direction.
Yes.
Share truth, share light and love and hope and good traditional values, And so with this film,
making movement movies.
Movement making movies.
That's we're trying to come up with new slogans, and that was 3M was one of them right there.
So the idea with Let There Be Light was it was very much on the nose. It was a very Bible thumping kind of a movie, and we really liked that. And then with this one, we just saw an opportunity to make a film that had just a broad mass appeal. Mm-hmm. We have atheists that saw the movie and said, "Why do you call this a faith-based movie?" And we're like, "We don't." So
we don't. I'm just kind of tied into that with movies like What If and God's Not Dead and Abel's Soul Surfer. Yeah. So people just label you on that. So,
but I will say, every movie is a faith-based movie.
Sure,
every single one. And so this movie is reflective of our faith. We believe in redemption, and we're living in a culture of unforgiveness right now.
Yes.
So we want to show people, forgiveness is actually a good thing. Let's practice it. Let's have some more of it,
Absolutely. Talk about the importance of bringing this faith-based content into a secular market. Why is that important?
Well, the Bible says we're called to harvest. And I like the movies in the faith-based world are doing, but they pretty much just preach to the choir. And I want to do more movies that are open to other people. I realize now Blindside is getting sort of attacked, which is really unfortunate. But Blindside had a great storyline where people of faith looked at this white family in Texas taking in this black kid that needed somebody to help with guidance,
right?
And then they changed his life. And people of non-faith said, no, it was a great sports movie, but they still saw the movie. So the message still got in there.
Right.
And I think it's a good thing. And Sam always says, it's tough to ask people to come to your church. Like, oh, there's church people that I want to go. But to ask them to a movie is a whole different thing. You say, do you want to see his movie? I heard it's really good. Check out the trailer or something like that. And this is sort of trailer that I think people go, yeah, that looks kind of fun. So we're hoping that is what happens, and we get people to file in and fill up the movie theaters.
Absolutely. Is there anything I haven't asked you about the film that you think our readers need to know?
We had a lot of fun doing it, and it was great. I mean, it was just, I hope like I said, people will go to sorbostudios.com is the best place to go.
I hope people go and get the homeschool download, because it's got lots of fun information in it that you might not be aware of. Like, it's just good stuff.
Well, I tell people it's not really paid forward with this. I want to make it more like the power of 10. I want each person to tell 10 other people, tell them to tell 10 people, because The only way I think really we can
You
get the
know-
word out is what happened to God's Not Dead. When Willie Robertson comes at the end of God's Not Dead, tells that full house, text everyone you know God's not dead. And it was a great way to free advertise.
Yeah. So, you know, the struggle for us is it's a Fathom event. It is nationwide, but we're limited in the number of theaters that we
Because
can
that's what they do.
get and the number of dates that we have. And so,
Yeah.
you know, tickets are on sale early. We're hoping to fill theaters and get more theaters added on. And you know, we're up against some big Hollywood powerhouses. So yeah, I guess the thing is, we really want people to help us out, to help further the movie because of what it stands for.
Yep.
Yes. Well, thank you both so much for your time. I really appreciate it.